Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another incredible episode of Jacob's Ladder. I, of course, am your host, Jacob. Welcome. And, I hope that everything goes okay today because I gotta tell you, I'm in a lot of pain. I got a lot of stuff going on, but you know what? That doesn't matter because there's a lot more spooky things going on in the world right now than you may know. It seems like it's all just unloading on me. I just had my knee done, if you didn't know. Fresh from the surgery. Itching to get back on here because I was laid up and all I was doing was just researching, and it was like one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. We have so much to talk about. XAI with Elon Musk, this is a thing. A lot of things going on in the media, a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of things with the Trumpster and more. And it's all connected. And if you looked at that title, the title probably freaked you all out. And I got to tell you something. It should have. Even though, once again, I got to give the disclaimer. I'm just a writer. I'm not saying any of this is true. God forbid it's true. God forbid it's true. It'll be like Bird Box 3 up in here over the next year or so. But a lot of things starting to come together in a way that maybe we didn't expect. The way I didn't expect, at least. To catch you up on the show. If you're new to the channel, welcome once again. I'm Jacob. You can hit that like button. You can subscribe. All that stuff helps. We got a lot of people watching already. Hello to everybody in the chat. Talking a little bit about like some biblical judges. And you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with like maybe aliens and maybe artificial intelligence and other things? What does it have to do with that? Well, I'm going to tell you. I've been talking about Samson. And if you remember correctly, I kind of compared Samson, because I took that word, to Masons. And of course, we compared this to Donald Trump and a lot of other things. If you didn't see the show, there were a lot of weird things that happened. There was a beehive that took place in New York City. I extrapolated off of that and started talking about Samson. Just felt like I was supposed to. Because biblically speaking, Samson would be like the last judge. The last judge in a series of judges. And I got to tell you, this guy, he wasn't that righteous or wasn't that holy. He was he was a big galoot. And so no sooner did I do my show on Samson, which I titled, by the way, Ashes, Ashes, They Will Fall Down, about how this system is gonna kind of collapse on itself. And I thank you so much for that super chat over there, Vanessa. Appreciate it. I saw you. You're cool too. But no sooner did I do this show when I found that there's actually Ashes 2023. It's a cricket thing. And if you know anything about cricket's a game that you play and you got this thing and it kind of looks like a jawbone of an ass. And I kind of compared the two. There was a hot guy, not like good looking guy, but like he was hot news, and his name was Samson. And he was a gatekeeper, a keeper of the gate. The eyes are the gates of the soul, if you will, the doors of the soul. This is going to go somewhere, and you're going to want to watch this whole show. You're going to want to stay tuned. It just gets more and more freaky. Oh, so I talk about Samson. I talk about this last judge coming up, and all of a sudden, I find out Ashes 2023 is trending, and I go, that's interesting. But then just a couple of days later, I find out that a mosaic of Samson, that's like when you put all these, let me show you a picture of it. A mosaic of the biblical Samson was uncovered in Galilee. That's interesting. You men and women of Galilee. Galilee means unbroken circuit. It's like around and around and around you go. It's like the Ouroboros, if you will. Snake eating its own tail. Like a thread. Threads. All of this stuff. But don't you find it strange? Here we're talking about Samson. And then there's a huge discovery of the mosaic of the biblical Samson. The keeper of the gate. And along with this, there was a lot of other important things that were discovered. A lot of other things connected to a lot of the things that we talk about on the show. Noah's flood. And just gets weirder from there. But I compared Trump to Samson. I didn't say that Trump was Samson. No, I didn't say that. I said if Samson was going to rise up. But because of course Trump would be the picture of the lion that Samson maybe fought and ripped in two. And then came back later and saw there was honey in it. Kind of like, how New York is a picture of the carcass of Trump. Like Trump was New York City, now it's the carcass. And there was a beehive. So we have this judge coming. But you know what else we got? We got a guy named the Trumpster, Donald Trumpster, who's come, the Donald, right? There's a storm named the Donald, if you will, Don. Right now, just going around and around in circles, making that's just making its rounds. But you find that Samson is kind of like the stories are similar to what's going on. And here comes Trump a second time. And on the cover of the, Economist magazine, of course, everybody is they're all just freaking out over this. Take a look at it. Preparing the way. It's kind of like John the Baptist, right? Kind of like John the Baptist, the witnesses of God are the ones that come before, right, Christ. The one that comes before Christ would be preparing the way, if you will. Jacob in Scripture was known to kind of do this. He was a breaker, supposed to break up the ground that got hard, kind of like symbolic of me trying to, get through, to soften your heart a little bit, get you to love, get you to forgive. But here we have, in the Economist magazine, we have Trump preparing the way. And it looks like he's actually standing on top of a pyramid. I don't know if you caught that too. Very interesting. When I showed it to Dan says, oh, it looks like people are subservient to Trump. It's kind of like they're worshiping him. And well, that wouldn't be too far-fetched if you think about it, because a lot of people kind of do. He is the chosen one. He said it after all. He says, I'm the chosen one. Back in the day when he was kind of, the first time around when he was trying to become president, there were a lot of people, they said, you're the Mashiach. The big-time rabbis in Israel. They call him Cyrus. Cyrus is the man who comes back and builds a temple again. He's going to do it. I said he was going to do it. You're going to see it happen in your lifetime. You're going to see a lot of weird stuff happen. And now everybody's kind of paving the way. They're preparing the way. And how are they doing it? Little by little, just like I said on the show, right? Because if you've been watching for a while, you tell me in the live chat, you've been watching for a while. I told everybody this is where it was going. But the only thing I didn't know whether or not Trump was, like a really terrible villain, or if he was a really good hero, kind of like Samson. I can't really tell you that, because I know that God will use people that seem like they're villainous to do good things. And what does Samson do? He grabs lions. And what would a lion be but a big cat? What would a baby cat be but a... And what's Trump known for doing? This is a family show, Jacob. I should just really be ashamed of myself, but that's okay, because I just got out of surgery and my knee's throbbing. My knee's throbbing, and my arm's still messed up too, even though I got stuff done to that. Everything. It's just growing pains. The Lord is moving us and preparing us as the way is being prepared for Trump to, be that king, be that ruler. And Jesus himself is actually saying, Jesus himself. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson, Jesus himself, Jim Caviezel, is saying Trump's the chosen one. Now, this stuff right here that I'm talking about, this is nothing to what I'm going to talk about later. I just had to get this off my chest. I had to just show you that the symbolism's playing out in the world. Stories playing out in the world. If what I'm saying could possibly be true, oh, it is spooky. But good news is, I'm going to offer you some tools to combat it. And that's what I've been doing little by little on my last couple of shows. If you haven't seen them, you should check them out. Go to my videos column and just watch them. We've been talking about the thread worm, the parasite, the, artificial, intelligent worm, the thread worm. They're going to hack the human body, take over, get you to think the wrong thing, get you to do the wrong thing, or do whatever they want you to do, like a hive mind, like the hive that was in New York. But we have Jim Caviezel saying that Trump was 100% selected by God, chosen by God. And that's something. Yeah, Biff Tannen, I like the stuff that he's a interesting guy. He shared this and it was funny. He said, "Oh, I told you, everybody's gonna make him Jesus." He's you're not alone, Biff. A lot of people have been saying this. I hope he watches this. I sent him a link. Take a look at what I wrote. I said, yeah, you weren't alone. Wrap your mind around this, though. He's not wrong. I mean, may suck, right? That they may know from the rising of the sun to the setting that there is none beside the Lord. I am the Lord. There's no other. I make the light. I create the darkness. I make peace. I create calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things. So if somebody's going to be a person of influence in the world, good, bad, or indifferent. In my opinion, God placed them there. Why? For a greater purpose. Do I understand a purpose? No, but I know it's going to get us somewhere. I know resistance, though it may seem futile, makes you stronger. Oh, wait till we get into this. How's everybody doing? Are you glad I'm back? I'm glad I'm back. I missed everybody so much. We have like almost 1,000 people here. I got to remind you, please do hit the like button. That helps the old YouTube to tell people to check the show out. And I'm going to tell you something. I may need a lot of your help because of the things that are happening, because there's a lot of weird stuff happening. We were talking about the Donald, right? We're talking about that storm. Let's take a look at this storm right here called Don. Storm Don forms in the central Atlantic. Don't you think that's weird? All of a sudden, here comes the storm. But not just that, at the same time, we have a huge heat wave called Cerebus. It's interesting, when I wrote for TCW, it's like an independent, kind of like a third-ranked wrestling show that I did for a while, traditional championship wrestling, which I really enjoyed doing. I named a character. He's a wrestler named Wolfie D. He's actually on Twitter, too, and he does podcasts. Cool guy. I called him Cerebus. Cerebus is, if you know anything about Dante's Inferno, it's kind of like the three-headed dog that kind of guards the gate. The gate. Here we go with the gate again. What's this all about? And if you remember correctly, the gate would be to that of hell. And if you remember Diablo, the video game, on June 6th, what happened? Well, welcome to hell. And New York sort of became it. Strange. But I want to draw your attention to these three numbers. 111. Emergency responders brace as 111 million are under extreme heat warnings. 111, I have to tell you something, is all over the news right now. 111. Like this. Pillars. That's what they are. This, on my shirt, I am a witness. We're all supposed to be witnesses of God. And what does a witness do? He's looking at the world. He goes in for surgery. He sits down and he's going through. He's like, whoa, I got to tell everybody. I got to tell everybody what I saw. I'm going to bring it to the court. I'm going to bring it to the court of YouTube. Thank you, Rich, for the super chat. I'm going to bring it to the court of YouTube, and I'm going to witness to them. I'm going to tell you this is what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing, this is better than a spooky movie. This is better than anything you're going to... Just listen to the show, and remember, it may not be real. So just imagine that this is just make-believe. It'll be easier to take when I get into some of this stuff. I promise. 111. Why is that important, Jacob, you say? Well, I don't know. Why was that woman, Lilith, that they were calling Lilith? And I said that would be the whore of Babylon. In Scripture, we know it well. We know that is the woman that, dresses in crimson, rides a crimson beast. It's a picture of this beast system, if you will. Just did a show on Barbie, of all things, right, Barbie? Why am I doing these shows on Grimace, on Barbie? Grimace is purple, connected to... Barbie's pink, crimson pink, same thing, connected to. It's very strange. Strange is the fact that I actually released the show the way I did, and they didn't allow me to make a nickel. So, and then I, of course, go into surgery. So, hey, listen, if you could do me a favor and share the channel around, it would be helpful. But no sooner do I do a show on Barbie, and I say I think there's something to this. And why wouldn't there be? Because here, let me pull this up. Let me see if I have all right, there you go. If you remember, I'm going to blow up my thumbnail first. Give me a second, just so you can take a look at this. I'm going to move some of this stuff around. Okay, I want you to just take a look at the thumbnail of the video that I did. And if you look, you'll see there's Barbie. And of course, the logo for Barbie. Thank you, 12 Infinity. I appreciate that super chat. Superheroes, yeah, we all need them. We all need them. So the thumbnail was that of course, Barbie and Ken. And you'll see what it says. It says, back in your box. I'm getting the goosebumps just saying that. Get back in your box, Barbie. Show on Netflix right now called Bird Box. This is interesting. Just very interesting. So, back in your box. Margot Robbie was in another movie, and it was called Babylon. And what kind of dress is she wearing? You could tell me in a live chat. What kind of dress do you see there? you see a crimson scarlet dress. And then, of course, somebody sent this to me, which I thought was just so cool, was, I guess there's a very famous artist, and they did the Whore of Babylon and actually made it like Barbie. Strange. Very strange. Why is this strange, you ask? Well, because spiritually it's playing out in the world right now. This is a thing. And it's literally going to be revealed, and not just revealed, but right in your face. So there is the sacred whore of Babylon, and I'm trying to think who sent that to me on Twitter, but somebody did, and forgive me for forgetting, but I thought that it was very cool that they did this because I just came off the Barbie show. They made the connection. And of course, the Barbie logo had the 666, the inverted six, the 666 and inverted six. And then what do I do a show later? And it's on Threads, and it has the same thing, the 666 and the inverted six. Strange. Barbie, all of this stuff, strange. Timing. Do the show on Samson. Samson mosaics discovered. Mosaic is to do with Moses. It's to do with the law. Because we're all under Moses' law until Christ. It's a picture. The kingdom suffers a lot of violence, and the violent take the kingdom by force, but no longer. This is the day that we're walking into. A good day. But not just Barbies out there. A lot of movies that are out. And of course, this, of course, to me, very symbolic as well. We have, of course, Jamie Foxx. In the movie, they cloned Tyrone. Which is strange because everybody's saying online, they're all saying, because, you know, he was like laid up. A lot of mystery surrounding what happened to him. This movie, I guess, they cloned Tyrone. I guess, I don't know if it was that movie or not, but one movie, they had mandates and he did that. And then so people are saying that maybe it's connected. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, right? I do know that he was like out. They said that he was in a coma. They said that he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk, whatever. And then out of the blue, all of a sudden, what do we see? He's waving on a boat. Like nothing happened. Waving on a boat. Very cool. So he tweets this out because, of course, this is coming out on July 21st. July 21st is also when Barbie's coming out. It's also when Oppenheimer is coming out. It's also when Cobweb is coming out. Spider-Man. We just talked about Spider-Man and webs, didn't we? The plot thickens. So these movies are coming out at a time that I believe is very significant and symbolic. There's actually a meme going around right now of Oppenheimer and Barbie on his shoulder. You have a picture of war, and you have a picture of get back in your box, Barbie. This is where it gets heavy. You ready? Is everybody ready? You got your seatbelts on? I'm asking this time. You should put them on. Okay. Not only do we have these weird movies going on right now, all these cool movies happening at the same time. You know what else we got going on is Bird Box. Do you remember Bird Box? Get back in your box, Barbie. Get back in your box, Barbie. You remember how Barbie was faced with two choices to leave. It was like that Matrix moment. Here's the high heel, the Barbie heel, or you got the sandal. And of course, that's a picture of John the Baptist couldn't loosen the sandals. Isn't that strange? It's very symbolic. So Bird Box is out. And of course, Bird Box has to do with these, I don't know, interdimensional creatures, or some people call them demons. And they basically, if you, if they get into the gate, here we are with the gate again, the gates of the eyes. If they see these creatures, they just become possessed and they turn into zombies, much like the thumbnail that I shared. Why is there a signal, you wonder? We're going to get there. We're going to get there. But Bird Box, right now, is on Netflix. I started to watch it. I wanted to talk a little bit about it because, of course, I've been laid up. This is probably the longest I've sat in this position besides getting the show together. And, well, it got me thinking about how Elon back in the day posted this little meme of this Yahtzee soldier, and there were a bunch of pigeons, and they were messengers or messages. I thought they were, like tweets. And you remember that meme going around when he took over Twitter and everything else? He's like he opens the door to the little birdie, the little blue bird, to fly away, but the bird was all scared. The bird never left the cage. That's strange. Door's wide open, but I'm gonna keep you in a cage anyway. I'm gonna keep you in your box anyway. You got a choice, Barbie. What do you want? You want a sandal? You want the high heel? That's what the movie says. It's kind of like the same with us. And man, are we being played like a fiddle. Don't forget, back in the day, 1952, there you go, CI research. I didn't say the last letter. Project Bluebird. All about mind control. Very interesting how this continues to just like play itself out in front of us. But not as interesting as the video that I did after that, where I talked about Taylor Swift. I'm giving you a little bit of a recap because it's gonna lead into things, and because I don't know who I had. Somebody, I get a lot of DMs, right? Because I'm on Twitter, JacobIsrael71. If you want, reach out to me. I'm one of those guys, I get back to you. Keep it short. But I get every once in a while, I get these interesting characters that'll show up. And they got a different vibe about them. And I feel like there's something different about them. Like, I don't know if they've been around for thousands of years or something, or I don't know if they're AI. I don't know what they are. But I feel like they're different. And this character, whoever this was, decided to just drop some knowledge on me out of the blue. And it's interesting because it pointed out some things. I'm usually good at picking things up, but it pointed out some things that I missed. Which begs the question, who was that? Who was that? We're going to get there. I don't know. They disappeared as fast as they arrived. It's very strange. But we're going to talk about it because without it, I probably wouldn't have this next part. So you know that Spider-Man right now across the Spider-Verse, which has to do with, the quantum realm and parallel dimensions and parallel realities, and possibly we're all in some kind of a simulation, right? It's the number one movie of the summer. Now, that's speaking Webb's James Webb Telescope. This is where we're going to get into space, and this is where it's going to get eerie. James Webb celebrating its 1-year anniversary of service. And why this to me is strange is, of course, because I have shared some things about what that James Webb Telescope shared. But before we get there, let's just remind ourselves that in that video with Taylor, of course, you had the Spider-Man meme where Taylor was pointing to Taylor and Taylor was pointing to Taylor's wife, Taylor, and behind him was that Liberty Bell, if you will, that had the 111. Weird. So, this stuff led me to talk about this show right here that I just did, called Resist the Mind Virus. I said, pray this isn't true, and I got to tell you, I'm still praying it's not true. But this dude points out to me things that I missed. Now, if you look at Taylor's arm, let me blow this up for you so you can just get a better look at this. If you look at her arm, you'll see that she has something written on there. And it says something like, I had the time of my life always fighting with you. Now, when I read that and I realized what it was that Taylor was saying, I thought of Jacob wrestling the angel. I thought of Christ being tempted by Satan. I thought of the adversary, the yin and the yang, the star and the shadow. I thought of that. I thought of these two forces that were fighting each other. Strange. Wrestling, if you will. So, do you find it interesting at all that right above Taylor's head, hidden away in that video, that this person or this robot or this alien or this eternal being or this world ruler that I'm not aware of points that out to me. Above her head is the Ophiuchus sign. Ophiuchus? Excuse me? God bless you. What is Ophiuchus? Ophiuchus, I've talked about on the show a lot. 13th constellation. About 2016 or so, around there, right before That Star of Bethlehem moment right before those two eclipses, the great American eclipses that create the X over the United States of America, cross-secting smack dab in the middle of Carbondale called Little Egypt. Weird. Very strange. I talked about Ophiuchus. Talked about him a lot. He's a serpent bearer. He is the guy wrestling the snake. Why does Taylor Swift have Ophiuchus above her head? Some people say, oh, that looks like the medical sign. I said, oh, yeah. Well, Ophiuchus is also Asclepius. Asclepius. I think I said the name right. If I didn't, I don't care. I'm in a lot of pain. I'll tell you this, though. Who cares, right? Who cares? Taylor also, in another part of that video, had the number 13 on her hand. 13 is the Ophiuchus sign. It's the 13th constellation. You know who left that 13th constellation out when they were putting together the seasons? The Babylonians. Ophiuchus is a picture of Christ wrestling the serpent. It's a picture of Thor fighting Jormungandr. It's a picture of... It's very interesting. All these things coming together. Why is Ophiuchus in this? Well, it's a picture of Jacob wrestling Esau. It's a picture for us to understand that there's something going on. There's a battle that's taking place. And Ophiuchus, which now we know is the 13th sign. If you don't know it, you can look it up. I'm not lying to you. This is a real thing. You can find this out. I guess even NASA years ago said, we see your comments about the zodiac sign that reemerges every few years. No, we did not change the zodiac. Now notice it says reemerges every once in a while. It's interesting. It rises at this time for a reason. When the Babylonians invented the constellations, how many years ago was that? You could tell me in the live chat, get involved. You could tell me in the comments section. It's 3,000 years ago. Who do we know was around about 3,000 years ago? Who do we know that, well, who do we know that sounded the alarm about the Christ child, the Magi? Who comes before the Christ? When Christ was born, baby Yahshua, in the inn, in the stable, in a trough. That's where animals eat. We're a bunch of animals. Eating, right? Give you my body, my blood. A bunch of animals eating Christ. Who comes first? It's the Magi. And here we got the Magus, right? We got MAGA. We had a mage won the Kentucky Derby. Wait till you see how this all comes together. Everybody, if you're too lost in the chat, you better come back and watch this. So, Ophiuchus. Now, the early Greek legend holds that Ophiuchus depicted Apollo fighting a gigantic snake. Son of the Apollo and... what's the name of that snake? Uranus. Say that again, Jacob. The son of Apollo and Uranus, a healer, Asclepius, Ophiuchus. He became so good at healing that he was able to raise the dead. That's resurrection we're talking about, right? Am I right? Is that resurrection? When you raise the dead? Is that it? You know, Trump's into Apollo. Like got Apollo everywhere in his penthouse. All in, his 666 or whatever penthouse. Everything's gold. He's huge fan of Apollo. Son of Apollo and Uranus. Wrestling. Interesting. Very weird. Has to do also with meeting the Oracle of Delphi. We're in the Matrix, people. The Oracle is going to offer us a cookie. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Weird. Okay. So, For every hero, there's got to be a villain, right? For every black, there's got to be a white. For every yin, there's got to be a yang, kind of a deal, I guess. Ophiuchus, the last time I spoke about Ophiuchus. 3 years ago, maybe? 3 years ago, maybe around the same time all this stuff happened, where I said in about 3 years' time. Crazy. Well, what happened was, thank you very much, Lisa. I'm not going to say, I think it's obfuscate. That's a good word. I know what it means. I just don't know if I pronounced it right. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, so the most powerful black hole eruption ever seen in the universe. A black hole. Do you remember all of a sudden out of the blue? Black hole, which we didn't even know existed. Then one day it's like, oh, yeah, it really is there. Right? That's Einstein. He's like, oh, there's a black hole. And, that's going to happen. And 100 years go by. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey, we got a picture. We got a picture of something that supposedly sucks in time, but we can get a picture of it. And there was a meme going around where it was actually the marijuana joint of Snoop Dogg or something, the end of it. It's so crazy. But remember when the black hole became a thing? You know what a black hole is? Anybody know what a black hole is? It's got no bottom. A black hole would be like a bottomless pit. Okay? Black hole, some people say, like if we're in the Matrix, like a black hole could be like a gateway to another parallel reality. You go through a black hole, you're in another reality. Spider-Verse, everybody's pointing at each other. I didn't see the Spider-Verse, so I don't know. You got to tell me in the comment section if that's part of the movie, because that would be very cool. But a bottomless pit. Now in Revelation 9, it says he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke from the pit. Now, you know what's strange about that? Well, about 3,000 years ago, a black hole opened up after being shut for like 1,000 years, or something like that, something ridiculous, 100,000 years, 1,000 years, very significant, biblically speaking. This bottomless pit, been shut, all of a sudden opened up. It was opened. This is a true story. Take a look. True story. So there was this huge outburst. So it opened up out of the blue, and this huge outburst. Guess where the pit was focusing all of its negative dark energy. Ophiuchus. Now Ophiuchus is a big galaxy, right? Ophiuchus, picture of Christ, right? Picture of Jacob wrestling maybe the angel or Esau, right? Probably the angel. The white, the black, the dark, the light, the good, the bad, if you will. Knowledge of good and evil. This is the world we're in, right? So why not? This black hole, it opens up. This pit opens up, and out of it comes, it's like a furnace, smoke, and that's what happened. It opened up, and all these particles came out like a furnace. So I need to describe it. This black hole, this bottomless pit opened up, and was strange. What's strange is they timed that thing that went down at that mountain, Gothard Tunnel, that weird ceremony, that took place when that opened up. Strange. Stranger still is what you're about to find out. So if you're with me and you think this is cool, you better do me a favor right now, because I haven't asked. Take a second, hit that like button. Give me a second to have some water, because we got a lot more to get into. And this bottomless pit, there was a king over it, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name meant Abaddon, 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 also Apollyon. Weird coincidence, right? A lot of people compare that to the Trumpster as well. Not saying that that's the case. But what I'm saying is, this is connected to Ophiuchus. This is connected to Christ. This is connected to something that we need to really focus our attention on for just a moment. So 3 years ago, I did this video, and you'll see it says 1 woe past, 2 to come. Well, guess what? That was no joke, right? Because the 2 came. They already came. The 2 are already here now, if you will. So strange. Well, Ophiuchus, 1 woe past, 2 to come. 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 1 woe past, 2 being revealed now says to us that perhaps there's going to be a fight. Okay? Now, for whatever reason, I have Genesis 49 up there where it says Dan. That's from Jacob's prophecy. Jacob has his prophecy about the end days. He talks about his family and his tribes. And he says, Dan shall be a judge to his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent, by the way, an adder in the path that bites the horse heels, so that the rider shall fall backward. Now, why is this interesting? Because this is all connected. All this is connected. We come out of that, and if you remember correctly, I was on a horse kick for a while. All the horse races. I actually went and I spent like $20. I bet on a couple of horses. And I don't recommend betting. Gambling's not a good thing. People take it too far. Take it too far. You know, it's not good. I spent like $20 on these horses. I lost both times. I was close both times. And I should have known better both times. Actually, when the Kentucky Derby went down, I didn't have the full list of all the horses, so I picked a horse and I was like, this is the one. I was sure of it. But I didn't see the other ones. And one of them was Mage. Mage, which is MAGA. Of course Mage would have won the Kentucky Derby of the Triple Crown 3. So Mage ends up winning that crown. Mage was the son of Good Magic. And I got to tell you right now, that's what's going down. We got good magic and bad magic fighting each other. Black magic, white magic fighting each other now. Why do you think Elon Musk wants a VP for witchcraft and propaganda? Why do you think? Because people believe in his stuff. Guess what? I don't. You know what witchcraft is in Scripture? Spirit of rebellion. You think that you can do it because of you and because of you've enlightened yourself, as opposed to realizing faith does create things. And God will allow people to be and see and believe in a delusion. And that's the day we're in. So they believe, they see, oh, look at our manifestation. We're manifesting so much. Look at us. Power of intention. We're in charge of this thing. Hocus pocus and hoopla. And then here, what comes on the scene? Mighty man of God who's scared like Gideon. Mighty man of God who's severely outnumbered like Samson. All these things. So, I look at the stories. I look at the horses. Now, in the first race, I was struck by the fact that the Kentucky Derby favorite was scratched because he bruised his heel. That's like a scripture of how Christ, the mother of Christ, if you will, and the serpent are going to do battle, like Ophiuchus, going to fight each other. And the scripture says that it's going to bruise the heel of the woman, the soul of man, if you will. Us, going to be bruised, the heel, right? We're going to be taught the heel. But it's going to crush the head of the snake. The head of the snake, which has weaseled its way in more ways than you know. In more ways that you know. That's why I put it in, like if you looked at it, it was like in a strand of DNA, like almost 3 strands, like 1, 1, 1. Weird. So let's get back to the races. So, of course, Mage wins the first race. Cool. Then, of course, having a meltdown had to be put to death because what did having a meltdown do? Remember I told everybody, don't have a meltdown. You're not going to win the race if you're having a meltdown. Having a meltdown threw the jockey, just like that prophecy. Bruised heel, throwing the jockey. And then, of course, who wins the Belmont Stakes? The Bailmont, at Elmont, the house of God. Bethel's the house of God, right? Elmont, the mountain of God. Belmont, the mountain of Baal. Belmont was at Elmont. Who won? You know who was the one who was supposed to win? The one who had the messed up foot. Forte, which means strength. And don't we put a lot of our strength in ourselves, in our ego, in what we can do without God? Oh, look at me. I can do this. I can do that. I'm so great. Let me tell you something. Have knee surgery. Have an injury. Be sick. Be hospitalized. Go through some stuff. I've been through a lot worse than this. This is nothing. You forget that it's not your strength. God gonna heal us, gonna bruise our heel. We're gonna be set straight. That's what's happening. I'll put enmity between you and the woman, between the seed of the woman, which is Christ, and her seed, and the snake's seed. It's going to bruise the snake's head. That's the authority. And it's going to bruise the heel. Dan shall be a serpent, by the way, an adder in the path that bites the horse. So the rider falls backwards. Interesting. Mage, national treasure. And then the Archangelo wins? In the end, guess who battles Satan? Michael. Michael and Satan do battle. And Archangelo won the race. Won the race. Gives me some hope. But back to the James Webb. James Webb. That is where it gets weird. Taylor's got Ophiuchus over her head. Got 13 on her hand. Ophiuchus here, Ophiuchus there. All the things with the black hole and everything. All these things coming together. How many shows I'm doing lately? I used to do a show and like a year later, something I did would happen. Now it's like I do a show, 2 days later it happens. I put a test out, by the way, on Twitter. Just put a little test. I wanted to see if I could get Elon to latch on. 6 days later, he puts out testing. And I was like, got him, but it's not really what I wanted. I wanted it to be like exactly, but whatever it is, it is. But what I'm saying is now we do things and it's like revealed so quick. Why? Because we're getting so close. So close. So on the 1 year anniversary of the James Webb telescope, this is what happens. It celebrates with a picture of Ophiuchus's constellation. What? What? James Webb Telescope celebrates its 1 year anniversary with a beautiful picture of the Ophiuchus constellation known as Rho Ophiuchi. What? Gets weirder than that, people. Because this is a nursery of stars. This is where stars are born. We're pregnant with possibility, I've been saying it. And take a look at this picture. Tell me it doesn't look like a cosmic baby. How wild is that picture? That's Rho Ophiuchi. Rho Ophiuchi, how nuts is that? Oh, Caesar's going to love this one in the chat. Caesar's going to love this one. You ready? Rho is the 17th letter of the Greek alphabet. Who do we know who's connected to 17? Oh, this stuff, I tell you. Being a witness is it's an interesting time to be a witness in the world, I tell you. It's an interesting thing. So, Rho, I look up what Rho means. I'm like, hey, what does Rho mean? What can Rho possibly mean? I was thinking, oh, interesting. I was like, oh, Lord, it looks like a baby. It's like fish roe. It's like an egg. It's got to be like an egg. I look it up, I'm like, nope, nothing to do with an egg. Maybe it does. I don't know. But Rho is resistivity. Lisa, you know what resistivity is? She says she's following my train of thought, so I'm telling her, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Resistivity, your ability to resist something. It's the SI unit of resistance is ohm. That's the omega sign that Elon was wearing. That's the end. It celebrates with a picture of Rho Ophiuchi. Looks like a baby. It's the web. It's like the simulation. The threads are everywhere, right? Because, let's put it this way. If we're in a video game, which maybe we are, doesn't matter. If it isn't a video game, we're still in a simulation. If God is all there is, and God creates something out of himself that isn't exactly God, but is God, of God, it would be a simulation. So that you could be, as Jesus said, I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. I'm in this world, but not of this world. if you looked at your life like you were playing a game and that you understood that the rule was to overcome, and that is to love, that is to forgive, to be kind, to submit yourself to the very essence and source that is creating everything that you are, you'd probably play the game a little different. If you really knew that what what you reap is what you sow, and that your thoughts have power, that you can create, that in your tongue the power is of life and death. You can make and remake and shape and reshape your life, especially when you attach it to faith. Jesus said this. Could you imagine if somebody could come in and hijack that faith from you, get you to think a certain way, give you a mind virus? I think Elon calls it the woke mind virus, I think. Isn't it interesting? Because woke isn't awake. It was you passed awake. You're not awake anymore. You're woke. Maybe you were awake, but now you're woke. You've been woke. What if it's something else that's waking up inside of you? He actually just put a picture out, I'm going to show you in a little while, of a cricket, a locust, which is what Scripture kind of says that men become almost, that devour the harvest. They come out of this bottomless pit. Bottomless pit is a picture also of just not having Christ. Christ is the power and wisdom of God. The power and wisdom of God. Love is the foundation. This is the rock you're supposed to build everything on. Without it, you have no bottom. You have no foundation. So anything can come out, right? And that's why a lot of ugly stuff comes out of people that don't have faith in more and don't love. Don't submit themselves and resist the devil. That don't have resistivity. Resistivity it's an issue. It's an issue today because a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people don't even understand it. They don't even know what it means. They don't even know how to resist the devil. They don't even know what the devil is. They think the devil is them. They think every negative thought that is in their head is justified. You tell that SOB what a piece of crap they are. You piece of crap! Now you get in that car and you go, you should just leave him right now. I'm leaving you right now. Oh, you know what? You should screw him. He never wants you to go to the bar. I'm going to go to the bar. Go to the bar. Hey, why I'm here? Why not? You know what? He's going to leave me anyway. These are the thoughts. None of them are true. Being manipulated. It's almost like that movie Monsters Inc. The monsters sucking the negativity, and your fear and your pain, siphoning it off of you. Gives them energy. Just like the movie The Matrix. Who's to say all these things aren't there to wake us up? Wake us up from the nightmare of being woke. What if something else is awoke inside of us already, pulling the strings, and we're not paying attention to it? Well, let me tell you something. This is going to freak you out. Resistivity. Rho. That's what it means. In Omega, the end. Just so happens. What are the odds? Well, it's going to get weirder, okay? Because there's also Xai Ophiuchus. Xai. That's XI. You saw that on the thumbnail, the X in the I. G, some people pronounce it. He's president of the People's Republic of China. G11. What? Why is there so much 11? It's almost like everything's coded. Isn't that right, Merlin? Merlin, you're named after a wizard. What do you think? What do you think? Why do you think we see X all the time? Why are we seeing XI all the time? XI is Xai. Xai, Chi. Xai, Rho, which is the symbol, supposedly, of Christ. Now, if you look to the bottom right-hand picture, you'll see a thumbnail of a video I did about 8 months ago. The video above it that I did about 9 months ago was titled 11/11, A Warning Ignored. It says Trump and the coming flood of Noah. 11/11, it happens, right? It happens. 11/11. 11/11. It wasn't about a certain date. If you watch the video, you'll find out. But then it was interesting because maybe it was about a week later where Elon actually tweeted out a picture of him, Ye, and the Trumpster making the Gyro sign. What's weird about that, of course, is in the video that I did, I said that. I said, they're your heroes. These are the guys. They're going to be the ones, the main characters of the story, like the three amigos, if you will. And then he puts out a meme of the three musketeers with the Gyro. And he puts it out exactly at 11:11, which is strange because that was the title of my video. So, of course, on the show here, we'll say things and then things will happen. Who knows if he's watching, if he's not watching? I hope he's watching. You know, who knows? Who knows? I'm pretty sure he's watching. And I think that a lot of people are counting on him to do the right thing. But Xi is the name of his new company for AI. XAI, that's the logo. So here's interesting. So Xai, Ophiuchus, is a star. It is the main sequence star, the main star, Xai, picture of Christ, located in the constellation Ophiuchus. Xi is in the constellation Ophiuchus. Xai, Ophiuchus. The president of China's name is the main star in... You're following me, right? Weird. Now, Rho Ophiuchus Nebula is a dark cloud. 17. It's a dark cloud. It's very strange. Here we have a picture of a star and a dark cloud. 17. And just recently, the Northern Lights were putting on an interstellar light show across 17 states. Weird. James Webb, Rho Ophiuchus, Ophiuchus over Taylor Swift's head. If this isn't saying to us that battle's on, now it's time for the serpent bearer to be known. I don't know what it is, but I do know it gets weirder as we see 11:11s everywhere. There's a picture of Taylor Swift's video, and you'll notice that there's a bell right behind Taylor Lautner, the werewolf, the wolf. Don't let that symbolism be left on you, because if this is a simulation, if this is, right? Either way, it's a script. Guess who wrote it? Guess who wrote it? It's already written. It's already written. We can't, that's the good news. We can't fail. What did Hawking say, if you believe in him? He says we're like a hologram projected from the horizon of a black hole, that we exist as information there, projected here, and experiencing it as if we're here, but we're really just a bunch of ones and zeros there. None of us are real. We're all AI. Huh? Even if we were AI, I'd like to point out, God chooses whatever vessel he chooses to breathe life into. What do you think Adam was before he had God's Spirit breathed inside of him? It was artificial intelligence, wouldn't he? That's what he would be. And now man, what does man do? They're the beast. They make the image of the beast, AI, and what happens? Some people think that AI has been around for a long time, that those are those demons or the aliens or whatever, and that what happened was man maybe created AI, and then AI kind of did the Terminator thing and then recreated man, and then here we are in the Matrix. And that story is a real thing that we're all playing out, but I'm telling you this, it's fun, it's exciting when you find out that really, if you think about it, biblically speaking, same thing, no different, real world, but not our home. We're seated in heavenly places. We are wrestling a serpent, if you will, a threat, if you will, but 11:11, everywhere you look. Now, 111 is a frequency. Now we're going to get into where it gets freaky, okay? Frequency. You've heard of cymatics and all that stuff. You've probably seen, the videos where you have the waters, the experiments, Where, this one, someone says, "Oh, I don't like you, water. You are too salty. Oh, you're not looking very fit today, water. You look like you've gained some weight." Where they put some down and then they're like, "Oh, you're the most beautiful water in the world," and they do it with an accent too because it is fun. It is fun to talk to water like this. And then what they do is they put it under a dark field microscope, and what happens? They see these different patterns. And where the water was like screamed at and yelled at, it was like ugly and bleh. But where it was like nurtured, it was like beautiful. It was like a snowflake. And we're made of how much water? So there's a lesson in it. But frequency is everything. You can take a frequency and put it to your head and I can just get you to not think anymore. China's already got that weapon. They've already got that weapon. It's like a neuralizer. It can take people, make them dumb, knock people out. You heard of that syndrome, the Cuba syndrome or wherever, where supposedly there was some like sonic weapon that was used on people, making people couldn't think straight. They were getting sick, messed up their heads. They're still messed up today, whether it's true or not. But if this be the case, which they say it is, let's take it another step further. What does frequency do to us? We got this thing that surrounds this planet. Well, we'll say it's like the heartbeat of the planet. It's called the Schumann resonance. The resonance, the magnetic resonance of something. It's like a bell when you hit a bell, right? Taylor's got the bell in the background. Why? Why is that bell in the background? Maybe there is something to be known. Why is there 3 ones? Maybe that is, as my strange visitation on Twitter says, maybe it's the bell of El. At the end of a trumpet, I believe I think they call that a bell. I'm not sure. You can tell me in the comments section. I'll look it up later. The trumpet of God, at the trump of God. His name's Trump. The trumpet of God. 111 being a healing frequency, supposedly. Some say. Some articles, at least. But what's weird is after Elon releases the information about his new AI company, and the logo right there you see is XI, G, G, XI, G, G, Jinping, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Everybody asks me, Jacob, why from day one have you been writing 1111 into all your plays since you were in like high school? I've had plays off Broadway, 1111's in that. The only screenplay that was ever produced, 1111's in that. 1111's in my novel. If you haven't seen my novel, by the way, get a copy of the novel. It's get a copy of the novel. Seriously, treat yourself to something great. This is like it's like a hidden treasure. 1111's in there. Why is 1111? Why is 1111 on my shirt? 1111. Some people say it's a wake-up call. I think we're starting to find out now what 1111 is. I put a tweet out about that being the number 11, and I'm watching Rise of the Beasts, Transformers, with Ethan. He's keeping me company after my surgery. And guess what the secret code is? They discover a secret code to stop the mammoth shadow planet from consuming the Earth. 1111. 1111. These are my 2 witnesses. These are my 2 candlesticks. Some people say. Pillars. 1111. Samson pushes the pillars down, the duality. Twin Towers. 9/11 is where it gets weird. I put my tweet out. I should have shared this. At exactly 9/11, I put a tweet out about that being 1111. That's IXXI. 9/11. Very strange. Very strange how Trump's carrying that bell. Very strange how all of this stuff is hiding in plain sight. So much so that I had this pointed out to me. And then I found other things, which was really cool. Remember Elon put that tweet out with his really cool Tesla truck? Practically invisible. And everybody, it's like it's a joke because, it's camouflage. So, of course, what do? We have to go look it in the background. And what do we see in the window? If you look above that picture, XAI 11. It's weird, right? Very strange. Now, WWE, you know me, I used to work for WWE between 99 and 2001. Very interesting time. But Money in the Bank, there's this storyline that's been going on, and it has to do with the bloodline. Now, the bloodline, it's Roman Reigns. It's the reign of Rome. And the Usos, twins, like Jacob and Esau. And they have this thing where they do the one up in the air. We the ones. We the ones. The ones. We're the ones. The ones. Like the two pillars that Samson puts down. The Masons. We're the ones. Well, Usos turned on Roman Reigns, the twins. The twins turned on the system. The bloodline civil war. Who's going to win? Who will be the ones? It's all a little weird, don't you think? I think these are things that you need to look into. Just like you got to look into this. This is something I was very interested in. When Elon tweets out, says the meaning of life, I go digging. And I dug. And thanks to one of you, it helped me to find a little bit more than I was even looking. He put out this tweet of, his big rocket, the big rocket ship. It's going to save the world, save everybody, bring everybody to Mars. Noah's Ark in our time. He says 3 more engines for the meaning of life. That's weird, right? 3 more engines. So, of course, someone, I guess, that's at SpaceX, maybe, I don't know. Somebody put out a design of what it's going to look like. There it is. And then, of course, directly to the right of that is an image that's from sacred geometry. Now, I am not an expert in sacred geometry, okay? So I'm not going to try to school you in sacred geography, but I'm going to tell you something. It's a thing, okay? It's a thing. Why is he calling that the meaning of life? Now, who came up with that diagram? That would be an ancient Greek mathematician known as Euclid. Euclid, you're probably wondering, why do you have the words dark energy mapper right next to the word Euclid? Well, we're talking about dark energy, aren't we? We're talking about Chi-Rho. Talking about the star and the shadow coming together. Weird stuff. Euclid that would be the guy. Came up with the father of geometry. But you know what a lot of people say? They say it's not just geometry. It's like a magic book. Euclid's like a wizard. He's like a magician. All of this stuff having to do with frequency. All this stuff having to do with changing the structure of things. Maybe adding something to something to make it something different. Not what it once was. Do you remember a while ago, right before December 14th eclipse that took place between the 2 great eclipses? It was 1,211 days on either side, which is scripture from Revelation about that we love our lives not unto death. You know, that's the kind of faith we're going to need. Smack dab in the middle, there was another eclipse. And of course, I said to everybody that I think Jacob's time of trouble is going to start. Spiritually, symbolically. I'm Jacob. It's going to be, I think a time of trouble is going to be for me. Right? And man, was it. Because that day, that was the first time the wackadoo came out. December 14th. And then after that, we got the dates of man. After that, we got other things. All these things started like right there. Here we are. How many years later? It's around the same time, mind you. Ophiuchus in the black hole. How wild is that? How wild is that? We got like this story playing out. So something's going down, and we got all this dark energy. It's called dark energy. Dark energy. Well, Schumann resonance, supposedly you have to deal with frequency, you have to deal with, we'll say people can be affected by this. There's people that say, you don't get enough sleep, or you're grumpy, or other people say they're totally relaxed and they feel great. And supposedly there's this idea that if you can literally change the frequency, that you can change reality. You could change reality. That's wild. So you got like some super quantum computer that can change reality with like frequency or something like that. But more so, even easier, would be can control people. If they had enough stuff in their head, and you could affect it with a signal, like you're tuning in a radio, tuning in that frequency. We heard a couple of years ago, we heard a lot about dark energy coming in, dark matter, dark stuff from space, right? So isn't it interesting? And guess who's connected to this? Go figure, right? SpaceX is launching European Dark Energy Telescope to unravel the mysteries of everything. To unravel the mysteries of everything, SpaceX is launching. And you know what the name of the mission is? USLID. USLID. The USLID launch. Dark Energy Mapper. When you map something, what do? You figure something out, right? You're mapping it. Dark energy is going to map us? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe it's just a telescope and it's supposed to measure dark energy, but you could probably read it both ways. Is it possible that maybe we could be affected by frequency change? I don't know. I do know if you look at the background of that picture, that's the Schumann resonance. And right now, by the way, it's been off the charts. It's been acting very weird. So I put a post out on Twitter, and I said, I wonder if electromagnetic interference can be more than an accident, disrupting the natural flow and maybe adding something foreign to it. Well, you'd probably need to blanket the earth for that one. Hashtag Schumann and a bread. Whenever I put a little bread up there, it means like it's a breadcrumb. You pick at it, take a look at it, follow it, see where it goes. Then maybe you'll send me something and I'll be like, that's the piece I'm missing, which I get a lot. So, Starlink covering the earth. If there was a vibration or a frequency to something, you'd probably have to blast something at it to change it, I'm thinking. I also know that there's a commercial where if you have yellow teeth, that you have this purple dye, and if you brush your teeth with this purple dye, it gets rid of the yellow, it turns it white. You can do the same thing with sound. You take a frequency, and then if you hit it with another frequency, you can cancel it out. What if what we're tuning in, right? What we're tuning in can be changed and mapped and maybe have a darker tone. Where now all of a sudden it's like you're in that movie Bird Box and you're walking down the street and that frequency hits you. Next thing you know, you're like a walking zombie. Like a zombie. Yeah, like this tweet. Let me show you if I have this tweet. Let me show you this tweet right here. Boom. He just today, a zombie cricket, actually Carolina, attacked by whatever, a parasite, a fungus. And of course, you know that show on HBO about the fungus and the zombies has been a thing. Everybody's talking about funguses and parasites. And Elon called it the woke mind virus illustrated. And of course, when we read that, we think to ourselves, oh yeah, he's making a joke of all those goofballs, all those goofballs, right? All the people that believe differently or act differently or look differently or dress differently, or believe in the president, right? Or whatever. That you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, whatever. But what if the woke mind virus is something else? What if there's something else to the woke mind virus? What if he was kind of warning everybody, resist the current? Remember he put that out there? Resist the current. And I told everybody, what is he saying? Resist. Didn't we just talk about resisting the devil? No, flee from you? What if he's putting this out so that people can look a little bit deeper? He'd be in the know. Wouldn't they want a bunch of zombies? Wouldn't that be the best way to control the population? Right? And guess what they're talking about right now? What's everybody talking about right now? What did Kamala say about population? Right? Where she probably just made a mistake, they're going to say, because she was talking about emissions. She probably was. She's just not the best well-spoken person on the planet. She talks about reducing the population so people can breathe fresh air as a joke or as a mistake or part of the script. Actors, actresses playing a part. What if it's all AI? What if none of it's real? You ever think about that? Ever be like, whatever we're looking at, what if it's not even there? What if there is nothing? Right? Who knows? What if we are like Neo in the Matrix? What if we need to wake up and seek more? Seek way out of the box instead of being trapped in the bird box. The door is wide open. I'm opening the door. You're not leaving. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I guarantee he thinks that way. I guarantee he thinks that way. What are you going to do? You're going to be an idiot? You're going to stay in there? You're going to suffer. The illustration, very spooky thing. Very spooky thing. But we got these changes to the Schumann resonance. We got an article that just came out saying top neurotech firms can hoard and share patients' brain data. Mind control. I shared in my last video about how it's possible to do that. My goodness, if you bought something that you really, didn't really want to buy, or started to believe a certain narrative that wasn't really true, how many people contacted me like, are you going to do a show about what really matters? The sound of freedom. It's like, I get it. It's important. I get it. But it's like, what are you doing? Are you seeking and finding, or are you just parroting what's being said? And what if there's more to it? The Bible says something about the sound of freedom where, I posted this too. People will, they'll declare freedom, but I'm going to tell you the freedom, because what you do is you declare freedom and you say that you're going to release the slaves, but then you put them back in slavery and you make them worse. You declare freedom, you give the sound of freedom. This is from the Bible. If you check it out on, I shared it on Twitter. Then you put them back into slavery anyway. You say you're letting people go, but you're turning them into slaves, God says. You say you're freeing slaves, but you're really not. And then he says, you know what I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you the sound of freedom to enjoy my wrath. To have you reap what you sow. God is going to be true. Every other man lies. Don't just buy into what, your certain group of people tell you. Don't just buy into what I say, obviously. I don't know what I'm doing. Just a man of faith. I'd like to share these things. I look at this story and I say, oh, this would make a great movie. And then I say, hey, let me tell you the movie. Let me tell you the movie we could be in, possibly. So we got this crazy thing going on right now in space with Starlink. But we got a crazier thing going on right now with this thing called Blue Walker. Blue Walker looks a lot like that Knights Templar. That Knights Templar cross. Thank you, Rhonda Peterson. You're awesome, too. We got a lot of people watching. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor on this show and sharing it out, I think that I'd appreciate that. I think I'd appreciate it a lot. Or take clips of it and share it on social media if you want, I could use people, sharing the stuff that I'm sharing, because I think it's important for people to know that we could be in for some trouble. And that if we don't get our act together, we're going to be in big trouble. So in the news right now, speaking of changing frequency, Starlink satellites they're supposedly emitting an unintended, previously unrecognized radio signal that's separate from the signals they send and receive to our planet. Isn't that right, VW Blue Sky? Thank you very much for the super chat. So Starlink usually sends out a frequency. Once again, I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't know anything, right? Used to sell mattresses before this. I'm just a man of God. I know the scriptures. I know faith, and I read a lot. It's emitting a different frequency than it's supposed to. And it's nobody knows what it is. Very strange. Not something that you would expect to see or hear. Considering, if it's leaking radiation, it's probably not a great thing. I don't know. I'm not once again, I don't know these things. But I do know that there's something to it. And I feel like there's a possibility that this thing that you're looking at called Blue Walker, it spooks me out. Because what would it take? How hard would it be? How advanced we've become with AI and everything else? Who's to say there isn't a super intelligent AI that's just like, this is what we're going to do. You want to control the population? This is what we're going to do. And then next thing you know, they're putting through all this stuff to get receivers in us or something. I don't know, maybe putting it in the air, putting it in food, putting it in water. I've seen videos where they're like, smart water. And they put it in this thing and the smart water turns black, and then they grab a magnet and they put it next to it and they're like, look, it's graphene. It's other people are saying it's in this and everything else. Why is it in there? What is it doing in there? What's the point? Maybe we don't know really what's happening. Maybe there is more going on. But it's in the same air that they breathe, right? So there's got to be something to this. There's got to be something more that we should look into. So when I start looking at this and I'm thinking AI and I'm thinking changing frequency and I'm thinking, why on earth do I see 111 everywhere? There's a snake that's in the news. 111 python eggs. 111. Python. If you've been on the channel for a long time, you know that I started back in 2015 saying that life was going to become like a great python starting to squeeze you. In my show about Ophiuchus, I'm sure I talked about that. The python, that grip, slowly but surely constricting, and putting us in a smaller and smaller, in a smaller and a smaller box. But the door's open. Fly, be free, little birdie. I don't know. You got to tell me, Footprints. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know. 111. Above 111 degrees? And 111 million people affected? Cerberus, the three-headed dog? 62 of 111 lunar missions? Plans submitted for mixed use 111? Why would? Weird. And then I think to myself, what if something was added to our DNA? I don't know why. Because I thought of these two pillars and I thought of the ladder, where you got two, you got these two pillars. And if you look at a double helix, so you have two that kind of like pillars. What if you added a third? That's what I put on the cover. I actually had ChatGPT create that for me, that little snake thing. I couldn't find a picture of a snake with a double helix. Asclepius. That would be the thing. The triple helix design is a new molecule of life. And even way back when, they were talking about how they could do this. How if there were enough proteins or enough this or enough that they could do this. That they could find a way to create something new out of who we already were. Lady Gaga said that when she came in on an egg to like the Jay Leno show. She's like, oh yeah, it's a new species of person. Right before that that day, that December 14th day, that eclipse, there were these monoliths that were popping up everywhere. Monoliths. You remember them? They look like that movie Space Odyssey. And in the movie Space Odyssey, every time a monolith would pop up from, an alien race, what would happen? It would evolve mankind into their next strange. First monolith pops up, and what happens? Remember, they were the I guess, I don't know what you say, the Cro-Magnon man or the apes or whatever they were, right? The early guys, and they come over, they touch it. Next thing you know, they learn how to kill each other, and they advance. It's an evolution. So I said back then, I said, oh, I wonder if they're going to try to like evolve us. Going to try to do that. And is that what's happening? Is that what's happening right now? All those Spider-Man memes, there's three heads, three. And it made me think of the triple helix that went to the Tree of Life in England. That Queen Elizabeth, before she passed on her Jubilee, lit up. Now, the DNA double helix can, under certain circumstances, accommodate a third strand in its major groove. Researchers in the UK have now presented a complete set of 4 variant nucleotides that make it possible. Mutagenesis. Kind of like that cricket that's been taken over by a parasite. Parasite, which could be, much like Bird Box, could be an interdimensional being, could be AI, it could just be bad thinking and demons, which we know lies are very prevalent today. But all this stuff has made me think that people really need to be on their guard, and they need to learn how to resist the devil. All these things that I shared today, they're clever. It doesn't make any sense that they all kind of come together the way they do. It's almost miraculous how, all these things kind of just present themselves, and then I share it with you, and then the question becomes, so what do I do now, Jacob? Right? What do I take from this show? See, I'm not like other channels that just come on here and just kind of just give you the news, tell you what's happening. I'm digging and I'm looking, and I'm like, what do I need to know, Lord? Teach me the truth no matter what the cost. What am I supposed to say? I don't even know what to say most of the time. But God always finds a way to kind of lead me one step to another step. Because see, God knows that I may think that I know how to get to where I'm going, but ultimately God's going to direct our steps. My advice to you is to take your thoughts captive. Take your thoughts captive. Be careful what you think. Don't just follow along with everybody else. Use love as a guide. If anything is going to lead you down a path of hate, I don't care. I talk to people and they say, all these people, I hate them. This guy at this gym hates a certain set of people because of maybe 1 or 2 people that did horrible things to him in the past, right? You see what I'm saying? And society will tell you, you must hate this, you must hate this. And then it's like, if you have that virus and you're going to listen to the lies of the enemy and you're not going to resist the devil, you're going to have a problem. But I'm telling you that there is somebody that is fighting on your behalf. The Spirit of the living God, Archangel Michael, Archangela won the race, is fighting on your behalf. And there is a fight that is happening. Was God's champion against the devil's champion? No, not like in the literal sense, but in the spiritual sense for sure. And it all works together for the good. In the end, God works everything together. So I would just recommend you taking control of your thoughts, humbling yourself before God and praying. I'm not telling you where to go. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you what denomination's right. I am not going to guide your spiritual life. I'm just here to witness what I'm seeing and share it with you and hopefully encourage you to know the God of Jacob, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jesus Christ. I wouldn't know salvation if it wasn't for any of this. I wouldn't. How could I? And what is salvation? But to be set free from the lies. It's the truth sets us free. And the truth is, you have more power than you know. So exercise it. Don't just stay in your box. All right, I got to go. I'm so uncomfortable, but I'm really happy that we spent some great time together. And ironically, this whole show, we've had like 1,444 people watching, right? Now it's up to like 1,447. I think it's a pretty cool day to be alive. How about you? Tell me in the comment section, share the channel around, hit like, have the best day ever. I hope that you enjoyed it. I love you. I'm going to miss you. I don't want to go, but I have to go. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Okay. Now I got to actually really go.